Alright, we're about to do this intercooler video, showing you how to put a universal intercooler on the Ford Focus ST. Super simple process, so let's dive into it. First thing you're going to do is remove the hood latch cable. That's what releases your hood. All you got to do is remove it from here, pop it off. Let me do that. Pop it out, pull it out to the side. Be a lot easier with two hands, and slide it up out of the, well, you might have to take it out of this first, give you some more slack. Take this and slide it out. Now that that is removed, you are free to start removing these Torx and body panels. And to do that, we have our Torx set, body panel remover tool. So let's jump right into that. Cue the time lapse. You also have to remove the headlights. Again. Once those are off, you don't have to worry about these because these just connect to the shroud right here. That will all come off with the bumper. You also have these tabs. Those are super important when you're putting the bumper back on. Make sure they go back in the tabs. You don't have to unscrew them, they will just come out. Next we're going to tackle, we're going to be able to see it. There's a body panel pin right there. There used to be a body panel pin at the bottom. Those broke, so I did not replace them. So we're going to pop these off, and we should be about ready to remove the bumper. Basically, so I was wrong about the fog lights. This is the wire you want to disconnect. Your turn signals, fog lights, everything comes from that wire. So make sure you got that one. Next we're going to remove this plastic piece. All it is these little push tabs. If you pull hard enough, it'll pop off just like that. Man. Alright, here's where some people are going to cringe. Clearly it is mounted upside down. The reason for that, the brackets for mounting, they're on the bottom of the intercooler. So rather than get a super long elbow to go all the way to the bottom of the intercooler, I opted with shorter elbows, flipped it upside down, drilled the holes bigger in the elbows to hold it, and then I had to drill through the bash bar. So this one was in the perfect spot to drill through. This one was not. You can see right here I had to widen it a little bit, and then I had to get my drill back there to do it. These are on there with bolts. I believe they're 3/4, and they're locking nuts. So it's the if you ever go to Home Depot or Lowe's, they're the nuts with the little rubber on the inside. Those lock. They don't do anything else. They won't move around or anything. These are just regular bolts with locking washers on them, just because they don't make like locking bolts or whatever. Next important part, right here you got your couplers. This is a straight coupler. This is the stock intercooler piping. Yes, the stock intercooler piping on the Focus ST is rubber. Why it's rubber, I don't know, but it is rubber. This right here, that is an ATV turbo elbow adapter, I believe. You're gonna need one just because you have a sensor right here. That's basically your, it's kind of like a secondary MAF sensor, I'm assuming. That's where your inlet temps are gonna come from, your charge temps. All that stuff is gonna come from that sensor, so that's important, you need that. Over here is a Mishimoto 90 bend, and the trick to this one, because once again I got impatient, I didn't want to wait for parts. The trick to mounting this one was that This is just an elbow, soft elbow, that's it. Intercooler piping, inlet to the intercooler starts here and here. So again, this is a rubber intercooler piping, so nothing super fancy, to a rubber Mishimoto elbow. And most people are gonna be like, how'd you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. I went to, it was either AutoZone or O'Reilly, got got exhaust piping, bent out the ends a little bit with just your typical channel locks, and that is what I used for basically like a coupler pipe. So that's completely encased by both these couplers. So it looks like there's nothing there, but there is a metal coupler in there. As far as I'm aware, this method would work with just about any universal intercooler. It's the easiest one I found. I couldn't find a guide online. I just know that people had done it. So I went ahead, and I already knew in my head how I wanted to do it, but plans changed once I got everything taken apart and I noticed like how it actually went together. I kind of had to adjust fire a little bit, but that's basically it for the most part. So to the person that wanted the tutorial, there you go. I'll put a link in the description where you can find this elbow, this universal intercooler. You can just Google search Mishimoto universal intercooler and it should pop up. And it is an authentic Mishimoto. It's got the little serial number and all that fancy stuff right there. I say authentic Mishimoto, but you know, whatever. Mishimoto does make a vehicle specific Focus ST intercooler, but it is literally $500 more than what I paid for this intercooler. This intercooler is perfectly fine for stock turbo. If you're going big turbo, if you're going anything super crazy, you're trying to push crazy stupid power, then obviously you're going to need a bigger intercooler. And aftermarket intercooler piping and everything, but the stock rubber intercooler piping works just fine for me right now. I highly recommend to upgrade your intercooler. It makes a huge difference. Even before my tune, the stock intercooler would sometimes get 40 degrees above the outside temperature on a pole, and that's ridiculous. That is insanely hot. Once I got this, I had about a 10-degree rise in charge temps, which is pretty good for an intercooler. And then once I got it tuned, I usually don't get anything higher than about 5 to 7 degrees, depending on how cold or how hot it is outside. In the summer, I'll probably hit about 10 again. But I highly recommend upgrading your intercooler. It's not that difficult. Just, you know, once you get everything apart and you see how it goes together, it's going to make a lot more sense. So now we're going to put the front bumper back on and wrap this up. And once again, remember to connect your turn signal. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. Turn signal is reconnected. Alright, the only thing left to do is test and make sure that all the turn signals work. Hop in. Turn the emergency flashers on, because that'll be easier to see all of them at once. right, that is how you install a universal intercooler. We might actually do an install video once Joey gets his, if he doesn't get a vehicle specific intercooler. And that will do it for this one. If you found this informative, go ahead, sub and share it if you know somebody that would want to use it. And that's it for this one. See you in the next one. Later.